As we all know, and I don't need to say it again, you've heard it a million times, but I'm going to say it anyways, 2020 was crazy. We suffered through a lot, but you know what? We're still here, and God is still faithful, and there are still people out there who do not know Him, and so we still have a lot of work to do. I hope you guys had a great Christmas season. If you're anything like me, if you're a worship leader, the time can actually be a little more stressful because we got a lot of different things going on, which is why I decided to take some time off. I mean, I actually haven't posted a video on this channel since, I think it's like, let me check. I haven't posted a video since December 22nd. That's a long time for me. I actually had plans to record more, but I could just tell I needed to take some time to rest and to soak in the time I had with my family. But I'm back and I'm excited to be here. If we've never met, my name is Jimmy Cooper, and I created Hey Worship Leader to be a resource for other worship leaders to help them through things like gear and how to lead their teams better and how to pastor their people. If you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing, stick around, hang around. There's a bunch of videos on this channel that are designed to help you as a worship leader, and Lord willing, there will be many more. Now, it is 2021. We made it. Yay! Except the world is still broken and we are all still broken people, and so it might be more of the same. But that doesn't mean that we can't be creative and make sure that the gospel is heard through our music. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you two things. It's New Year's, and I think every time a New Year's comes, we have two things that we should do, and we should get these in order. The first one is, it's a time for reflection. We can easily see a new year and jump straight into working. Now, I know not every personality is like this, but I'm definitely wired that way, so I know the struggle is real. The second is that it's a time for setting goals and making plans. Now, sure, we can set goals any time of the year, and I think you should. I think you should set goals often. But don't miss this opportunity to give yourself and your worship ministry some clear direction for 2021. So first, I'm going to share with you some things God taught me through 2020, some lessons learned. And then we're going to go over some goal-setting tips and tools in case you don't even know where to start. Okay, so here are some things I learned in 2020, and I actually had a much longer list, and I cut it down for your sake to keep the video short. But these are the top things I learned from 2020, even though 2020 taught me a lot of things. Number one, planning is key, but roll with the punches. If 2020 taught me anything, it's that no matter what you plan, it can and it probably will change. Rolling with the punches is a boxing technique where the fighter moves at the coming punches in order to take on less damage. If you're a planner, the struggle can be adapting when things don't go according to that plan. So what do? Don't let changes in the plan affect your attitude, especially when you're leading people. One of the most real lessons I learned from another worship leader was watching him stay positive and leading us to Jesus even when things weren't going right. I know it's easy for me to have a sour attitude when things aren't going to plan, but that's one of the things I learned this year was to, make plans. Yes, we need to make plans, but be able to roll with the punches. All right, number two, production value is great, but it's not essential. Now, here's what I mean. Sometimes we get caught up in thinking that we have to have like a 5-piece worship band for our music to sound great. And yes, don't get me wrong, I love the sound of a full band, but at the end of the day, and this harkens back to rolling with the punches, people get sick, volunteers decline, and so maybe the thing you need to do is just lead your people with just you and a piano or you and acoustic guitar. I just don't want you to count those days as a loss or see them as less than. Your goal as a worship leader is to point people to Jesus and allow their hearts to sing. And having a big band is not the end-all formula for that. This past year, in 2020, we had services outdoors, and it was a great change of pace, but production value was definitely not as great as it was indoors. Our sound system was definitely not as good. We had issues with power. We didn't have screens, so people had to stare at their phones to look at the lyrics. We had a really small stage, which meant less volunteers for spatial distancing, and it was just different. But you know what? That outdoor service was people's favorite, and it just showed me as a worship leader that production value is not what leads people to Jesus. I mean, it can help, and we pursue good production value, but that's not what we need to rely on. Having said that, and having come through 2020 dealing with all those different struggles and having less volunteers to work with, actually leads me to the third lesson that I learned, that building a volunteer base is essential. Do not sleep on this. You got to put in the work to audition people and share the stage and create a culture where people know it's not all about you. The only way I made it through 2020 was through the help of my amazing volunteers. If I had not prioritized growing my team over the past few years, I would have been up the creek without a paddle. Now, if you need help with how to grow your team, stick around. I'm going to give you something helpful. All right, number 4, and this was a big lesson for me, and that was to communicate clearly. There were a few months in 2020 where I had 2 different teams serving 2 different services, different people with different call times that needed different things. I needed to make sure that they were all going to the right place at the right time. I needed to make sure they had all correct songs with all the right keys. It was a little bit stressful. It stretched me, to say the least. I needed to make sure that I communicated very clearly. And so the best way to make sure that you communicate clearly is to make sure that you have a plan to communicate, and then prioritize getting that info to your people. And same with this point. If you need help with this, I have some tools that you can use, so don't go anywhere. We'll talk about it in just a bit. And so lastly, and like I said, I had to cut this list down a bit, but the most important lesson that I learned in 2020 is that I need Jesus more than anything else. More than a perfectly planned service, more than great guitar tone, more than physical touch or words of affirmation from others, or even more than financial security. I need time with Him and His Word above all else. This is one of those points that we all know, but we still struggle to prioritize. So now it's time for some help. It's time to move from the reflection time into goal setting and planning time. And like I said, I have some helpful tips and tools for you, but you might be thinking, goals? I'm just trying to survive. I know that was true for me. At the beginning of 2020, I had all these plans, but it quickly turned into, let's just get through this. Let's just survive. And there's nothing wrong with that because we were hit with a pandemic. But now we're in a new year, and I know, yes, it's not going to get better overnight, but that doesn't mean that we can't plan and set goals and prepare for whatever 2021 has to throw at us. Now, the first thing you need to do when setting goals is to get a planner or a notebook to keep these goals in front of you, which now is a good time to tell you about the sponsor of our video, the 2021 Digital Worship Planner and Notebook. Both are for sale right now over at the website, and I'm actually doing a little bundle where you can get the worship planner and the notebook together in a bundle and save a few bucks. Whether or not you can get this planner, which you should, get something where you can keep your goals in front of you. Now, when making goals, you need to have some steps. You need to make sure that they're realistic and actionable, and then you need to make sure that there's some sort of deadline, even if it's just through the end of 2021, and then you need to make sure that you write down some stepping stones to get there. Now, you might be thinking, I don't even know what goals to set. I don't even know what I should be doing. That's okay. Sometimes we just need a little push. So I thought I would share with you some of my specific goals and stepping stones that hopefully would spark some creativity as you're planning your goals for your worship ministry. Number one, I want to make everything as easy as possible for my volunteers. Remember, they're volunteers. This is not their job. They have another job, most likely. Don't make it more difficult than it needs to be for them to serve the church with their gifts. Actually, let me say that again. Don't make it more difficult than it needs to be for your volunteers to serve the church with their gifts. I know some of you need to hear that. Soak it in. Now, stepping stones for this goal for me falls under this broad category of excellent weekend preparation. And this is one of the things I prioritize when making my digital worship planner because I didn't want to forget it. As you can see here, we have, I don't know if you can see this, but I have tabs up at the top, and I have 4 weeks. Week 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are all the same, but at the bottom here, I have a checklist of things that I know I need to do every week. And I actually have a spot down here at the bottom where you can fill in and customize your own checklist, but I know I need to plan ahead and do these things, and I have some volunteer resources that need to happen every single week. Actually, I have a whole nother tab over here called Lead Your Team, where I give you a checklist of things you can do, and a place to write down your thoughts for your rehearsal devotions and stage layout and a bunch of stuff to make sure that you lead your team well. And this is what I'm going to be using this year, along with you guys who have already purchased this. Thank you for your support. This is what I'm going to be using to make sure everything is as easy as possible for my volunteers. We all have those days where we wake up and we think, what should I be doing today? This helps me. And as I'm looking here, it reminds me of my second goal, and that is to be more pastoral. And I actually have another tab here that says pastor your people. And there are things I know I need to be doing each week to think more like a pastor. If you're wondering what those are, we have our call to worship times. We have people we need to connect with, have scriptures and other readings to think through, prayers and speaking transitions, ideas for songs to introduce. These are all things that you need to be thinking about in order to pastor your people better. One more goal for this year that I want to share with you is I want more congregational engagement. So I need to pick songs that are easy to sing. I need to pick songs that people want to sing. I need to lead my people into singing rather than just performing in front of them. And I know I need to be on the lookout for better and more musicians. I need to have a solid audition process. I actually have a whole pack of free checklists that you can download that complements this planner that you can download for free anytime. I'll link that down in the description below. There's a song selection checklist, a planning center checklist, a rehearsal, and a weekend prep, along with an audition checklist. Definitely go check those out. I know it'd help you as you're setting your goals for this year. And also, I forgot to mention, I actually have a goals tab in the worship planner, and each month that goes by I can write down my goals. I have immediate needs, I have future purchases, action steps, deadlines like we discussed. I even put in here some financial stuff for you financial people and a habit tracker at the bottom. So I didn't want this to be a commercial for my planner, but I'm going to be using it, and I think it's a really helpful tool. If you don't have an iPad, you can still purchase it and download. There's a PDF file in there as well where you can print these off. You can put it in your own spiral notebook if you want and still use this. So definitely go check it out. Link's in the bio. Link is in the description. I forgot, this is an Instagram. I hope today's video was helpful for you. If it was, please like this video, subscribe, and share with anybody you think it would benefit. I got some really exciting things coming up on the channel very soon, so you wanna make sure you customize your notification settings so you don't miss out on anything. I gotta get going. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.